There are fighters who become champions, and there are fighters who become symbols. Sonny Liston was something else entirely. A man feared by everyone and understood by no one. And in the end, often forgotten by the sport that gave him so much. This is the story of Charles Sonny Liston. No one knows exactly when Sonny Liston was born. Even he didn't know for sure. Somewhere in the early 1930s, on a cotton farm in Arkansas, one of 25 children, he was raised in a world where violence wasn't unusual. It was the ordinary. His father ruled with fear. Beatings were common, and they were brutal and unforgiving. Liston would later say, "The only thing I learned growing up was how to take a beating." But Sonny didn't stay. He ran north to St. Louis, looking for something better. But instead, he found a different kind of struggle. Crime became part of his life. Street muggings led to armed robberies until eventually, the life of crime caught up with him. In 1950, he was convicted and sentenced to 5 years in the Missouri State Penitentiary. That's where Sonny Liston became a fighter. Not in arenas, but in prison yards, where fights weren't about titles, they were about survival. He fought other inmates, and quickly, something became clear. He wasn't just tough. He was built differently. He was a man who could absorb punishment and return it in kind without hesitation, without fear. Prison didn't break Sonny Liston. It made him. When he was released, boxing offered a way out, an opportunity for him to make a life for himself outside of crime. But freedom came at a price. The mob saw an opportunity, a fighter with terrifying power, and a past that made him controllable. They backed him, managed him, moved him up the ranks as Sonny racked wins, but always on their terms. In the ring, Sonny Liston was unstoppable, scoring knockout after knockout. He possessed a jab that felt like a hammer and a presence that froze men before the first punch was thrown. Opponents didn't just lose to Liston, they broke. Many refused to fight him at all, because facing Sonny Liston meant facing something that didn't feel entirely human. And yet, even as he rose through the ranks, something was missing. In 1962, he became heavyweight champion of the world by destroying Floyd Patterson in just over 2 minutes, then doing it again, just as easily in a rematch a year later. He had everything: power, dominance, money, and the coveted heavyweight championship of the world. But he was missing the one thing he was looking for the most: acceptance. See, the public didn't embrace him, they didn't celebrate him, they feared him, distrusted him, and kept him at a distance. And then came Cassius Clay. Young, confident, charismatic. Where others feared Liston, Clay mocked him. He laughed, spoke loudly, told the world he would win. And for the first time, Sonny Liston wasn't in control of the narrative. But this wasn't just another fight. For Liston, this was personal. He had lived the hardest version of the American experience: poverty, violence, prison. He had fought his way out of it, the only way he knew how. And yet, when he stood at the top, he was still rejected. The world cheered for Clay, a man who spoke differently, carried himself differently, represented something more acceptable. And whether it was fair or not, Liston felt it. The distance, the divide, the sense that, even as champion, he didn't belong. And for the first time, the most feared man in boxing was fighting something inside himself. The first fight ended in confusion. Liston sat on his stool and refused to come out for the start of the 7th round. An injured shoulder, he said. But many didn't believe it. He became the first heavyweight champion to lose his title on his stool. The rematch was even stranger. A single punch, fast, but not devastating, and Liston fell and stayed down. The referee struggled to control the chaos. The crowd didn't understand what they were seeing. And to this day, no one truly does. Was it a dive? Was he forced? Did the same forces that controlled his rise now control his fall? The questions never left. Years later, those closest to him, including his wife Geraldine, suspected that he'd taken a dive.
If he throwed the fight, he went to his grave, he never told me. And if he throwed, I didn't see none of the money.
The truth remained just out of reach. And after Ali, everything changed. The fear faded. The aura disappeared. Liston kept fighting. But something was gone. And as his career declined, more of the man began to show. For all his strength, Sonny Liston carried fear. A deep, crippling fear of needles. So severe, he avoided medical treatment, even turned down opportunities to fight abroad because of it. The most feared man in boxing, afraid of something no one could see. A reminder that even the hardest men are still human. In 1970, Sonny Liston was found dead, alone, in his home. Official cause, heart failure. But the scene raised questions. Marks on his arms, rumors of drugs, whispers of something darker. And just like his life, his death remains a mystery. He was feared by opponents, controlled by forces around him, rejected by the world he conquered. A champion who never truly belonged. Sonny Liston, the most dangerous man in boxing, and perhaps one of the loneliest.